We've heard now from several startups who are developing what they hope will be solutions to the urgent problems created by the pandemic, whether a vaccine, testing or therapeutics. But, Lally, these are tiny companies, and for this technology to be deployed worldwide, don't they need to find large multinationals as partners to help them with the massive undertakings like manufacturing and distribution?
Well, at Outcrowd, we're fascinated by the collaboration opportunities and potential between huge multinational companies and startup companies. This is where magic is created. And this is very much thanks for enterprises such as Johnson & Johnson, who are open to innovation and embrace technologies created by startup companies.
Well, joining us now is Neil Ackerman of Johnson & Johnson, where he's head of advanced technologies for the global supply chain. Neil Ackerman, welcome to the studio. Johnson & Johnson is one of the largest medical and consumer supplies companies in the world. You sell billions of products every day. If a small startup, like the ones we've heard from here, develops a solution that passes all the regulatory tests, how can they bring their product to a global market on the massive scale required?
Well, the great news is that what you heard today was that all these companies have the DNA to scale. When you find that they're in a country like Israel, they're built to go out. And sure enough, in every one of these examples that we've heard, that's exactly what they're doing. Now, how do they go about doing it? They do the three most important things that customers always want. First, they make sure they have great selection. So they're going around and making sure that they're going to have the best product they can possibly have. Second, they're making sure that it's convenient. What you heard from every one of these startups is they're focused on what is the best experience for that customer, for that patient, how can they get it fast, and what's their plan. And then third, customers don't wake up every day and say, I would like to pay millions of dollars for this product. They want a good price. And in every case, they're building for scale. So with price, selection, and convenience, you have a winner. And that's why they're going to make it.
So these small startups, they'll need multinationals like you as partners. But to what extent does a huge corporation like Johnson & Johnson need the kind of innovation that these small-scale entrepreneurs are developing? You have huge resources. Can't you just do all this in-house?
Well, we cannot. We're asked this question quite often. You know, what does a startup bring? And my answer is they bring the 3 C's that we don't have and that we would love to keep on having. They bring an unbelievable culture. So that's the first one. And when you bring an unbelievable culture, you can bring that into even big multinationals and, of course, mid-sized small-cap companies. Second C, they bring great capability. So we may have some of those capabilities, but they're focused on this capability. They do it every day. They dream about it. It's in their blood. And so that C is very important. And the third C, you know what they're really close to? The customer. And so when they bring these types of things to us, culture, capability, customer, those 3 C's are why we want to engage with the startups.
Let's turn to your particular area of expertise. This crisis has exposed the global supply chain as much more fragile than most of us believed. How do we prepare for the post-pandemic future? How is the supply chain going to change? Who's going to lead that change inside major corporations? And what kind of technology is there that can predict future supply and demand to make sure this disruption doesn't happen again?
So those are a lot of questions. And what I would say is, first and foremost, it's a value set. It's a mindset. And it's called resiliency. And so what does supply chain have? Supply chains over thousands of years have learned the art of resiliency. You need them. And what we're finding right now is they're going from a cost operation to now this revenue-generating machine that they're needed for everything. We're all stuck at home, and we're seeing this happen right now. So the first set of your questions, what is a kind of leader? I think it's going to be supply chain folks, supply chain officers, folks that understand operations. And why do I say that? Because now more than ever, not only does the world need operators, they also need people with a lot of heart. And what happens with folks with a lot of heart? Who has all that heart? All the folks at the front line, the manufacturing folks, the truck drivers, the logistics coordinators. They're the heartbeat of this system. And so when you take all the people that understand the heart and they understand the operations, they're going to be able to lead that supply chain through the future and obviously come to the results that we're looking for. The second part of this question had to do with where are we going to go and what does the end-to-end supply chain look like for technology. And that is really going to be focused on a series of innovation areas, which I'm sure we can talk about forever. But mostly it's going to be artificial intelligence and machine learning combined with amazing logistics and fulfillment solutions with sensors in between that can make the magic happen. And so, yes, it's complicated. Yes, it's gnarly and very difficult to fully understand the end-to-end chain. But it's only going to happen if you have different folks in different disciplines coming together to make it happen. And so we're really lucky to be working with the startups, including the ones at our crowd, and to be able to find these solutions for the world.
Neil Ackerman from Johnson & Johnson, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lally, before we move on, investors can choose between a lot of different opportunities and they look at the long term, not a passing fad. Why should investors be able to trust that a pop-up company created to solve an immediate problem, even if it's a brilliant solution, has any kind of long-term future?
Well, these are not pop-up companies. These companies have proven technologies and brilliant teams. These are companies that will address COVID challenges and remain post-COVID.
Lally David, Head of Business Development, Our Crowd, thank you very much.